This is legal to own, legal to sell. But if I turn around and sold this to an adversarial nation, let's say China or Russia, and they used it against American citizens, I would have some explaining to do. Now, that's exactly what's going on with NVIDIA as they help out the Chinese military with the equipment that powers autonomous battlefield robots, drones, and general battlefield AI. Instead of a Glock 19, they are giving them GPUs. Now, if you saw my video yesterday, you'll remember that Jensen Huang just ripped a $100 billion deal out from under Sam Altman that they had promised them. And I wonder if this is a bit intentional to dominate the media cycle with that news. It caused quite a buzz yesterday on this channel and in the mainstream media. But there was another story that you might have missed yesterday. Again, maybe this was intentional. And that is while Jensen is busy pulling the plug on one of the biggest American AI companies, his engineers were helping one of their biggest competitors, DeepSeek. DeepSeek is a Chinese AI startup, and they are deeply embedded with the Chinese military. This broke about 48 hours ago. Congress has some information we're going to get into. Let me break down what they found. This all kicks off when Representative John Molinar, the Republican chairman of the House Select Committee on China, sent a letter to Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. And the letter had some direct quotes from NVIDIA's internal documents. Oops. And according to these documents, NVIDIA isn't just supplying hardware to DeepSeek, they are actively helping them. There's a quote here from those documents: major training efficiency gains. Now, according to these documents, NVIDIA didn't just send them GPUs, they actively helped them with development and using those GPUs to the max to improve a Chinese AI company that is known to be working with the Chinese military's models. They helped DeepSeek achieve, quote, major training efficiency gains through an optimized co-design of algorithms, frameworks, and hardware. So again, not only did they hook them up with the hardware, they helped them design the algorithms and push the hardware further. This was not a passive, I sold you a Glock 19, then you did something bad with it. This was, I sold you a Glock 19 and then gave you extensive training courses on how to use that before you did something bad with it. And we can even quantify this in numbers. One of the most expensive parts of AI development is training the model. You have to use a lot of very, very expensive high-end GPUs, specialized chips to train the models. It's very energy intensive and it takes a lot of time. You can buy down that time if you have more compute modules and if your algorithms are efficient. And the numbers on this are quite clear. DeepSeek's V3 model, which is quite good, was trained using only 2.788 million H800 GPU hours. The H800 is like a super high-powered, like industrial-grade GPU, which sounds like a lot, but for context, it's significantly less than what US developers typically require for frontier-scale models. We don't have those exact numbers, but we know that it is significantly less than what places like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google are spending in terms of equipment and time to train up their models. So NVIDIA is actually giving them some kind of competitive advantage by telling them how to use their hardware in such a way that it is more efficient, that it is faster, that it is cheaper to train models than American firms. And it gets worse. NVIDIA's greed certainly knows no bounds. We all know that, but I am even surprised about the low that they sunk to in this arrangement. The documents also show, again, these are internal NVIDIA documents. This is not conspiracy theory or random skepticism. This is in the documents. They actually proposed taking DeepSeek and distributing that as an enterprise grade LLM to companies. And they proposed doing this stateside. So essentially what that would look like is NVIDIA would go to a large Fortune 500 company and say, you know, you're doing a lot of LLM calls to Anthropic or OpenAI, American companies that are charging for this. Do you want to get your bill down? Every exec would say, yeah, sure. I'd like to get my bill down. I'd like to pay less for all of the AI that my employees are using, because as a Fortune 500 executive, my sole goal in life is to replace these people with AI. So yes, I would like it cheaper. Absolutely. And so what NVIDIA proposed to do is essentially take that hardware, take the model working really well on their on-premises hardware or domestic hardware that they were going to sell to enterprise customers and say, you know, just use the DeepSeek model. We'll give it to you at a bargain, a discount. We've optimized it on our hardware and you can get it cheaper. This is the same model, by the way, that's being used by the People's Liberation Army. And to be fair, Molinar did concede that when NVIDIA was helping DeepSeek in 2024, there was no indication that this would be used for the Chinese military, that it was just simply helping out a large customer onboard onto their platform. But that excuse didn't hold up for long because we've got access to the People's Liberation Army procurement platform. And so the procurement process is basically like the military puts out a call to independent contractors, to various defense firms within the economy, and they say, hey, we're looking for XYZ type of thing to use in the military. We're willing to pay about this much for it. Submit your proposal. And so when we look through that procurement platform, we actually see dozens of contracts explicitly requesting AI tools built on DeepSeek models, not a proprietary model, but DeepSeek models. This is very important to understand. And so a couple of examples of that would be military hospitals using it for treatment plans, all the way to defense mobilization units using it for battlefield planning. And a couple of examples of this, one most notably Norinco, which is basically like Chinese Lockheed Martin, except the state is entirely sponsoring them. They showed off an autonomous combat support vehicle at a demonstration. It runs at 50 kilometers per hour, which is about 30 miles per hour in freedom units. It's fully autonomous. And guess what? It's powered by DeepSeek. This isn't the only thing that this can be used for. Drone swarms using DeepSeek for autonomous target recognition, robot dogs for recon and clearing explosives. Researchers claim their DeepSeek-powered system can analyze 10,000 battlefield scenarios in 48 seconds. A human planning team would need at least 48 hours, and the error rate would probably be higher. And this has the full backing of the State Department as well. Direct quote from the State Department: DeepSeek has willingly provided and will likely continue to provide support to China's military and intelligence operations. So this is not speculation. Again, I don't have my tinfoil hat on today. This is in the documents. This is proven. This is the US government going on record saying that, yes, we have intelligence that DeepSeek is being used for the Chinese military and intelligence operations quite clearly. Let's give Jensen his due. What did he have to say about this? He was in Taiwan yesterday. Reporters asked him directly about this, and his response was, quote, whenever developers want to use our software, we openly support everyone. Every AI developer in the world works with NVIDIA, and I'm very proud of that. Proud of that? I'm sorry, hold up. Is this guy an American? What American is proud of their technology being used by our adversaries to potentially attack Americans? In the midst of all this, NVIDIA issues a statement to Reuters and argued that it would be, quote, illogical for the Chinese military to depend on American technology. Just like it would be nonsensical for the American military to use Chinese technology. It makes no sense for the Chinese military to depend on American technology, end quote. Except they're literally depending on it. The procurement documents prove this. And you might ask, okay, Dr. J, that's all well and fine, but you haven't answered one thing, which is like, why would Jensen take this risk? Like, he's not an idiot. He obviously knows the cost benefit of this. So what's the motive? Why is he doing this? And that'd be a fair question. And I'll tell you what I always tell you on this channel, which is to follow the money. Jensen is trying to get that bag. 2 bags is not enough. He needs more bags of money. And so he told his investors that China AI chip sales could be a $50 billion opportunity. That gets investors stoked. That gets the shareholders stoked. That gets China stoked. And when banks compete, you win. And it gets better. Our president, or outsourcer in chief, who is doing everything to not make America great again, contrary to his campaign claims about putting Americans first, he just approved the sale of NVIDIA's H200 chips. Again, these are super-powered, like industrial-grade GPUs to China with some restrictions. The H200 is more powerful than the H800 chips DeepSeek used to build their models. China has now conditionally approved most of the major players, including Alibaba, Tencent, and ByteDance, to purchase these H200 chips. But this is not dry. The ink is not dry here, which it would be a little bit of cosmic justice to see them rip the contract from Jensen's hands, just like he did to Sam Altman the other day. Ink's not dry, and he said that they haven't been formally notified, but the approvals are coming. Trust me, bro. Just invest in the company. Don't ask too many questions. Just give me more money, please. So in the same news cycle where Jensen kills a $100 billion deal with an American company, he is trying to get some side action with China. So let's rewind it and connect it to what we saw yesterday. So yesterday, $100 billion deal with OpenAI, and NVIDIA starts to take a look at OpenAI and says, you're hemorrhaging money, and we don't believe that you are going to go positive. We believe that people are going to catch on. We don't believe in you anymore. So we're going to yank this deal. All the while, his engineers are trying to broker deals with China, who is maybe going to be able to pay their bill to keep growing and keep expanding and keep becoming even more of a monopoly in this space. And specifically, they are helping out a Chinese startup, DeepSeek, that is powering Chinese military drones. So Jensen is not only looking at China, he has 50 billion reasons to be looking at China right now. Molinar is still fighting the good fight. He's requested a Commerce Department briefing by February 13th, a little early Valentine's Day gift. He wants stricter enforcement of the H200 export restrictions. And he's also calling for tighter regulations on Chinese origin AI models used in the US. I want to quote from his letter, which ends with, "Even if the world's most valuable company cannot rule out the military use of its products when sold to Chinese entities, rigorous licensing restrictions and enforcement are essential." This is all in Congress documentation. This is all on the record. The question is anybody going to do anything about it? And my bearish take is we have a president who has vowed to make America great again, but is increasing the cap on H-1B visas, is allowing American companies to lay off American workers and hire workers elsewhere in the world. And now he is allowing the biggest and most eminent GPU manufacturer, the uncontested leader in the space, to work directly with companies that are powering the Chinese military. I've been covering the AI bubble since last fall when people called me a conspiracy theorist and a fraud for talking about the circular funding, the fake valuations, the whole house of cards about to come tumbling down. Just yesterday, I broke down the situation about how the bubble pop is beginning with the cancellation of this contract between OpenAI and NVIDIA. That video at last check did 50,000 views. My other recent video on how Amazon is laying off American workers, they've laid off 30,000 in the last 90 days and is now rehiring millions of workers in India, is also going viral. So it turns out I am not the only one that's pissed off about this. I'm not the only one that thinks that it's high time that, since Silicon Valley is here, since our best engineering culture in the world is here in the United States of America, that we start taking some pride in American companies. And I would think the very least we could do as a country is to not facilitate adversarial military and intelligence operations that are anti-American, which is what NVIDIA is doing now. The story is just getting started. I will be here to cover the entire bubble pop. So if you want to know what happens next, subscribe to the channel. And if you think I'm full of it, tell me in the comments. You guys had a lot of great comments and interesting takes on the last video. I would love to hear about it. And I will try to cover some of those in the next video. I'm planning a response video to your comments soon. Thank you for watching.